to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Cole, and you already know how it go. If you're a returning subscriber, danko, I appreciate it. And if you're a new subscriber, hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Nicole, and we're all for the vibes here, you know what I'm saying? We're all for having a good time. But basically, when I started this channel, it was mostly to kind of show people what my life is about. So it's just kind of like me meets the world, and I just wanted to kind of show people how I'm navigating my life, because sometimes the way you live your life can inspire somebody else with the way that they live their life. And I was like, okay, so let me create a channel. But then the second part and the second reason why I created this channel was because I wanted to help upcoming writers, you know, find their niche, find their purpose, find their place, you know, in the writing industry, and just kind of like help even established writers too, to figure themselves out, even though they're already in the industry. So for those of you who may not know, and for those of you who do know, I am a published author. I'm a mom to 2 babies. These are my babies. So this was the first book that I ever published. It's called Destiny. I published this when I was 13. That was in 2020. Ooh, 2020. But I think it ended up coming out in 2021 because it was like lockdown period, and there was just a lot of like complications with getting my ISBN number. Every little process that's not supposed to take that long, it took like twice as much time. So I ended up publishing late, but the book was done and written over the period of 2020 to 2021. And then this is my second baby. I published this in May. This was probably one of my favorite books till date. And when this came out, in April actually, it came out in April before I moved to the UK. And it was, you know, the launch event was one of my last events in Zimbabwe. So this will forever be my favorite book because it just holds like so many memories for me. And I just love it so much. So I know a lot of people who've asked me, oh, how did you manage to publish? How was it like, you know, being a young writer? How did it feel trying to work in an industry with adults, and how did you, you know, like, how did you navigate your way through? Let me tell you something. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. I feel like, especially because of my age, because some people, they look at you and they think, okay, it's impressive, but to a certain extent, not everybody takes you seriously because they're like, well, you know, you're just a child. But I think that's probably one of my biggest drives, to continuously like prove to people that you know, my age and everything, the fact that I still have a social life outside of writing, I still have school, I have all of that, that doesn't, you know, make me any less of a writer than somebody who does it full time, than somebody who's older than I am. So I think that's probably just one of the main reasons why I'm still writing and just keep doing what I'm doing. But anyway, this is going to be a writing series, and I'm just going to be letting you guys know the little tips and tricks that I've learned over the years. You know, I'm 16 now, so it's been 3 years since I started, well, since I got published, because I think to a certain extent, I realized after a while that I'd always been a writer. I just never realized it, you know. But yeah, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm the best in the industry. I'm not saying that I know everything that there is to know about writing. What I am saying though is that the little bit that I know, I'm here to share it with you guys, so that somebody who's been struggling with their writing journey can say that they bumped into my YouTube video and it helped them a lot. So I'm calling this series the Writing Series, and this is the first episode. And basically I'm just going to be talking about, you know, the first steps. Because here's the thing with writing, there's the major steps, and then those are like physical steps, like, oh, okay, you've got the book, what are you gonna do after that, how are you gonna get through that? And I'm gonna tackle that as the series goes on. But for this first episode, I feel like I wanted to tackle like mental tips, and just basically what it is that you do before you even like conceive the idea, like what does it take and how are you going to, you know, manage, because there's so much more than just going from cover to cover, from like first page to last page. It's an entire process. It's an emotional ride. It's a physical ride. It's a lot, and a lot of people may or may not realize that. So I think that's probably going to be the first step, the first thing that I'm going to tackle in the writing series, and I really hope you guys are going to enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to share it with somebody you've heard talking about, you know, wanting to start a writing journey, don't forget to just I still have comments turned off, so obviously you can't share your comments, but I'd appreciate feedback on the video and what you guys would want me to improve on that. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Very first step to every amazing book, every best-selling book that you've ever seen out there, is the idea. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you have an entire plan, you have like everything built up. It doesn't have to be that at the start of the, you know, the concept. It can be scribbles. I for one do not plan that much. I'm working on that, because having a plan just kind of like helps you flow better. But over the past few years, my system, if you may call it, is that I scribble. It could be a name, it could be a phrase, it could be like a title, it could be, you know, even the closing phrase for your book. That could be the entire concept, that could be the idea. It could be somebody's outfit that I saw when I was walking, it could be a tree that I saw, because you know what the concept is gonna be, but the concept was derived from somewhere. There was like a source of inspiration. I like to put down that source. I have to put that little, whatever it is, get that down on paper, on your phone, you know, whatever. And the more you look at it, it'll continue to inspire you. It'll continue to, you know, help you flow. It'll remind you why you started writing the book in the first place. So when you figure out the source and the idea, just make sure you get that down, because throughout the concept of writing your book, you're going to keep going back, you're going to keep referring back to that, because that's the reason you started in the first place, and that's going to be the reason that you reach the end, because you're going to keep looking at it and you're going to be like, okay, yeah, like I wrote this book, I started writing this book because I thought it was going to help this target audience, it was going to help these type of people, and if I don't finish it, then I'm not sending my message across. So just have your source, have your idea written down, and once you have that down, you can build up on the idea. That's the planning, which, like I said, I also struggle with myself. But I've heard a lot of people, a lot more authors, the way that they plan their books, the way that they build up from the idea is, so basically they get the idea down, so it can be 2 words, it can be literally 1 word with like 2 syllables, it can be anything, it could be a picture, it could be whatever. And then when they do that, after they do that, they do a synopsis, which is basically a breakdown of what the story is. So I call it, it can be called so much, it can be a storyline, synopsis, you can call it whatever you want, but basically what a synopsis is it's what the story is about. So even when you're going to find, you know, in later stages, when you're going to look for publishers, when you want to explain the idea to somebody else, they can see it, because your scribble, your vision is not what everybody else sees. So you have to get it down into words at some stage, so that when somebody asks you about it, when somebody wants to know what your vision is, when somebody wants to help you with that vision, they understand where you're coming from and where you're planning on going. So you kind of have to get your synopsis, your storyline down, and basically explain that, oh, okay, it's a story about a little girl, and then she goes through this, she goes through that, but then at the end of the story, blah 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 blah. So even if you don't have the entire story done, try as hard as you can to get the little bit that you have in your head down, so that it helps you also progress, it helps you continue smoothly, it helps you flow. So even if you don't have the entire, because maybe you only have the concept from the beginning of the book to, like, you know, mid chapters, you don't have up until the entire end of the book, but that's okay. You can still get the little bit that you have written down. That way you can help yourself and you can help others around you who are going to want to know about your book, to know about your vision. And then basically the second step would be to get a character breakdown. There's a lot of characters that develop as the book goes on, but obviously you have the main protagonist, you have, you know, the people surrounding the main character. That's basically what a story is based on, in my opinion. There's a main character and there's the people around them. The people around the main character influence certain behaviors in the character. They influence certain events. They're going to cause certain events to happen as the story goes along. So you want to kind of have your characters broken down. So what you want to do is, for example, I'm just making up fake scenarios here so that you guys understand me better. But there's a girl named Mary, right? That's my main character in the fake book that I'm creating. Mary is a 15-year-old girl, and sometimes some authors, I just realized, they, you know, like to mention like every little detail of the character, which I've heard that it helps you even if you decide that one day you're gonna want to convert your novel, you want to convert your book into a movie idea. It helps with the character breakdown for the script, and it helps the audition, what are they called? Casting directors, sorry. It helps the casting directors to know exactly who to look for, so that the Mary that you envisioned at the start of the book is going to be the Mary that they're going to put in front of people's screens. So they have the age, the race, the gender, they have all of that written down. And then for some people, when they do a character breakdown, they like to have a little background story. So we've seen that Mary has gone through this in our past life, which has caused for her to be like this now. So she has trust issues, she has whatever because of what's happened to her in her previous life. I hope that makes sense. But some people also, they just want to put a little background story so that when you develop the character, you can always refer back and it'll help you figure out more things to put in the book that have been influenced by the person's character. So you want to put down the character's name, their age, and then you want to put down all the rest of the characters after you've done the main character. So you can have Jane, Mary's friend, you can have Mary's parents, you can have her siblings, her family. I don't know, just build your characters, the little ones that you have at the start of the idea, because it's all about remembering that you're still starting out. It's still the like early days, so you don't have to have everything ready. You can develop as you go, but the little that you have in your head, try and get that written down somewhere. It'll help you so much. The second step in writing a book is so important for me personally. I don't know if other people, you know, care for this step or invest in this step, but I personally think it's important to get yourself a support system. It's probably one of the most amazing things when you know that you're writing something and there's actually people who are excited to read it, because writing is such an emotional journey from the start up until the very end, and sometimes you can find yourself being pulled way in too deep, you know, in the world of like fiction, even non-fiction, because sometimes if you get too much in your feelings as the parent of your project, as the parent to your book, it's your characters, it's your world that you're creating, but then sometimes you relate too much to your character's feelings. Even if you don't relate, sometimes it's just a matter of because you see it, right? When you're typing, when you're writing, I don't know if you write on paper, if you write on paper with a pen, or if you type on your laptop, type on your tablet, on your phone, notes and everything, wherever it is that you write, you see it. It's like a movie in your head that you're just putting down into words. And I can't lie, it sometimes gets so emotional. I remember there's times where I've actually cried while writing, and it's like, if you don't have people around you supporting you and just helping you get through that, you can find yourself getting pulled into the world of fiction way too deep. You can find yourself just being way too emotionally attached, and it can not be good for you sometimes. And as much as it helps you, you know, build a better relationship with the characters and just develop them better, it's sometimes not always the best thing to happen to you. I have an amazing support system. I'm forever grateful to God for, you know, putting me in the places among the people that he's put me. I remember, especially during lockdown, when I was working on my first book, I think I showed you guys, was right here. This book right here. It didn't take me that long to write, but it was so much fun. The process, thinking about it just makes me laugh, because I remember it was lockdown, so my mom and my brother and myself, we were in the same space, we were in the house all the time. Just, my dad was working though. My dad was working during COVID, so it would be us three in the house. And whenever I said, you know what, I've got, you know, I think I have more to write, I go to my laptop, I sit down, I'm in the living room, I'm just typing. My brother would come over and just start singing and dancing, and it was just so much fun. My mom also would just be there, you know, just laughing along, and just like, it was so funny. I regret not recording any of it. That would probably be an amazing visual diary for, you know, a book launch or whatever. But I love that, and it made me feel like, you know, I can actually get to the end of this book. The number of projects that I have sometimes that are not finished is actually crazy, because when you feel like there's just so much, and you feel like when you finish a project, nobody's going to want to read it, or you don't have the strength emotionally or physically to finish a book, it's just, it happens to the best of us. And so when you have, you know, friends, when you have family, it can be a mentor. A lot of people have writing mentors. It could be a writing mentor. It could be, I don't know, it can be whatever. You can even find a support item. I don't know if that makes sense, like something that you turn to when you feel like you're lacking motivation, when you feel like you don't have the strength to keep going on. So having my family and just my friends, whenever I tell them about any new projects that I have coming up, whenever I tell them I have a new book coming up, the excitement that they just show me, it makes me feel like I'm actually writing for someone. Because in as much as, you know, as a writer, part of the reason why you're writing is to, you know, to send a message, to inspire, to motivate through, you know, your characters. So to try and think that, okay, what if nobody buys my books? What if nobody actually wants to read my books? It's a sad thing to think about. But when you have a support system, they'll always remind you that even if nobody else reads your books, they're going to be there. They're going to be reading them. They're going to enjoy it. And it's the best thing ever. Having a support system helps you get through the entire process. And you'll see that the more people, the more you put yourself in a space of people who support and love you and encourage your work, criticize you also, because sometimes you need, you know, criticism in order for you to develop, in order for you to grow, and in order for you to release your full potential. You realize that it's easier to get through every book. Books that I wrote during lockdown, they didn't take me that much time. Now that I'm back to, you know, reality, my parents are always working, my brother also at school, I'm at school. It's taken me way longer than it did during lockdown to write books and finish them, because I don't, you know, always have them there to just like sing for me, or just, you know, talk with me throughout the process of writing. But yeah, just get yourself a support system. You won't regret it. I promise you, it'll, you know, just make your writing life way easier. You have your idea, you've got your concept, you've got yourself a support system. Let's get right into writing this book. You know, I think try not to think too much about it. Try not to think about, oh, okay, what if nobody likes it? Because with writing and deciding that you want to become a published author, you're putting yourself out there, you're putting your feelings out there in the world, and you're allowing other people to, you know, to give their opinions on your work. And in as much as you would love for it to always be positive opinions, that's not always the case. So if you think too much about that, then you never actually publish. But write this book, get it done, and really just like step out and get it out into the world. You don't know who it's going to help. You don't know who's going to find your work amazing. You don't know where it's going to take you, because just like when opportunities present themselves, sometimes you don't realize what lies ahead, because obviously we can't predict the future. But maybe your book is going to become a bestseller. Maybe it's going to become a stepping stone into a certain industry that you wanted to get into. Maybe it's just going, there's just so much that can lie ahead of you writing a book. So let's get into writing this book. What do you need when you're writing? It's not specific that you have to have a laptop. Oh, I don't have a computer. I don't have a phone. Some people, they write their manuscript on paper with the pen. It's not, there's, you know, pros and cons to every method, to every device that you choose to use. But with the right amount of organization and planning, whatever you have, you can make it work. There's manuscripts that I've also actually written on paper because it felt right at the time. I know of authors that write on their phone. I personally cannot. I feel like a phone screen is too small for me personally, so it kind of hurts my eyes and everything like that. But I know some of my friends who are authors, who are writers, they write on their phones because it's convenient. And when you have an idea, you can just, even when you're not like at home with your computer, if you're on the go, if you're on the move, you can just, you know, get it down before you forget it. So you can use your phone app, your phone notes app, and then you can use your computer. You can use whichever one of those methods works best for you. And when you're still starting out, you may not know what works best for you. Some people, they find that when they write, you know, on a computer, it helps them to flow better. Some people prefer, like I said, the phone method, because it helps them feel like, you know, they can write whenever and wherever they're at, because you always have your phone with you. You don't always have your computer with you. Some people, they write on paper because they just like the way paper smells. So over some time, you realize what works best for you, what, you know, helps you flow better, what helps motivate you, what helps give you a sense of inspiration. But yeah, so get yourself whatever, like, figure out where you're gonna write and stick to that. What you don't want is to have pieces of work in different places, if that makes sense. Like you have something on your phone, you have something on paper, you have something on your computer at the same time. It can get confusing, and you serve a risk of losing your stuff, losing parts of it. Something else that I have to say, you guys, is always back up your work. Always back up your work. I don't know, send it to your iCloud, share it with somebody. Like I said, you need a support system. Sometimes I share my work like to my mom's email, so she also has it like in her phone, just in case I lose it. The number of times, let me tell you something, the number of times I've lost work and just sat there crying for days, because when you lose a document, it's not as easy to just, you know, oh, okay, I'll just start again. It's not that easy, especially if you would have gotten far. It's so stressful. So when you lose a document, it's the worst feeling ever. You just lose it and you're just there. You're thinking, now I have to start again. And then for people like me who don't always plan, who don't always, you know, whatever, maybe I had something in there that was golden that I probably don't remember because of the fact that I didn't have it planned out. It's just something that came to me and I just put it down and wrote it down. It's so stressful. So back up your work, turn on autosave, just do whatever you can to make sure that you do not serve a risk of losing your work. It can happen. It's happened to the best of us, but try as hard as you can to prevent it, because it's just probably one of the most demotivating things ever. But if it does happen, that doesn't mean you should stop. You can always continue. You can always start over. I know it's annoying. I know it's stressful, but you can get through it. And then what you want to do also is, when you write, try to remind yourself constantly that it's not a competition. It's not a race. You can take time, you know, you can really take your time to think about what you've written, to get people's opinions on what you're working on, to, you know, to just kind of like really let the idea marinate. You understand? Let it marinate. you don't have to be like, oh, okay, so I have to do this, and then I have to do this next, and then I have to, you know, get it done in like 2 months. I have to, it's not a competition. You're racing with yourself. Okay, so some people, they take lesser time to write even large books because maybe they have the time, maybe they're full-time authors, maybe they have an amazing team just working with them, so it makes everything easier. Maybe somebody else takes so much time because they have breaks, because they've got so much going on. Whatever it is, just don't be racing. Take your time. You'll finish when you finish. You know, I'm not encouraging procrastination. I'm not saying that, oh, okay, she said that you can like write a book over a space of years. All I'm saying is, if you rush yourself, it's not gonna come out the way you want it to. It's not gonna turn out the way that you expect. But when you put your heart into it, when you put your time into it, without, you know, rushing yourself, without just like pushing yourself to get it done instantly, I find that that just makes your work splendid. It just makes everything that you're doing turn out amazing. I've written different books over different periods of times. Some of my books took lesser time than the others. Most of my books, though, so far haven't been too large because, like I said, it's not a competition. I'm not thinking, oh, okay, everybody else is writing 1,000, you know, pages type of books. What am I gonna do with like 30 pages? Nobody's gonna want to buy a book with 30 pages. Trust me, somebody out there needs all 30 of those pages, okay? So continuously remind yourself that it is not a competition. Whatever it is that you have in the amount of time that you have, it's worth it. It's gonna be worth it at the end. Just, you know, you keep doing you, keep, you know, sticking to the reason why you started writing in the first place, and I promise you, when you reach the end, it's just gonna be so amazing, and you're going to enjoy every little bit of it. It's all gonna be worth it. You can take your time, you can take yours, you can take months, but whatever it is, however long you're gonna take, just don't stop. Make sure you get to that last page. Make sure you get to the end, and you're solid. You're actually golden. Final step. I'm not saying that it's this easy to write a book. It's just 5 steps in writing a book. But what I'm trying to do is just, you know, trying to help you prepare yourself mentally for the process of writing a book. But I'm really hoping that as this series goes on, I can get to, you know, even explain further and just deeper how you can do it and how you can make it through. But the last step, because basically we did the idea, we got ourselves a support system, we started writing, we remained consistent, and we finished writing our book. Now we need to publish. This is probably one of the hardest steps. If anything, actually, if you think about it, writing is the hardest part. Like, getting to the end, I promise you, it's so hard. Publishing is actually not that hard if you have a system. I think with publishing, you have to be organized. So it's not that hard. It's the writing that's the hardest part. So once you've gotten past that, you're solid. You're actually solid. So publishing, I'm trying to not say too much about this one, because I think I'm going to do part of the series is going to be the different methods you can use to publish and how you can do it, how to get yourself a publisher, how to get yourself a literary agency. That's going to be explained in a separate video. But basically with publishing, you have to decide what type you want to do. There's different kinds. You can get yourself a publishing house, or you can choose to self-publish. So like I said, I'm going to explain these further in a separate video. But with publishing also, the key is, I think I said this before already, but I'm going to say it again. Do not try and think about, oh, okay, it's going to cost me this much to publish. I know sometimes the cost of publishing can be quite a lot, but there's publishing houses out there that actually help you to cover the costs, and they'll get them back through book sales. So try not to think about the cost. Is it worth it? What are people going to think? What are people going to say? Is it the right time? try not to think too much about that, because the more you think about that, you're just going to have a completed amazing manuscript sitting in your computer, sitting in your phone, and you're not going to want to share it with the world, but you don't realize just how much we're waiting for it, how much we're waiting for your piece. We're ready. Just try not to think too much about it. So once you've basically published, there's just so much more that you can do. There is you know, the marketing strategies you can use, because even if you have a publishing house, they do take care of marketing, so you don't have to do so much. But I personally also just like to promote my own book to a certain extent, because in as much as your publishing house sees the vision, you have the ultimate vision. So you're the one who knows how you want people to perceive or receive your book. So you can always just come up with these little cute creative ideas these days. There's a lot of social media marketing. If you have social media accounts, make sure you're posting about your book. Don't be shy. Don't think about what people are going to say. Like I said already, there's going to be positive and there's going to be negative responses to your work, to what you do. But that's just how the world works. There is a lot of negative people in the world, and they'll try to pull you down. They'll try to push you down, but don't let them. You post about your book, post about it. Don't feel shy about it. You don't realize who's going to notice you. You don't realize how many sales you're actually even gonna get from posting on your social accounts. So I'll also talk about how to kind of like what to do after you've published and what to do once you have your book in your hands. I'll probably talk about that in another video, but I just want to say, basically, to close off, I know this is not going to be a really long video. This is just an intro to the series, and this wasn't fully planned out. I was thinking this off the spot because I just like to say what's on my heart. So a lot of the times I don't normally, you know, prepare when I want to speak or say something. I want to say exactly what it is that I'm thinking at the time, because the more you get to think about something, sometimes it'll, you know, make you try and alter or like filter certain parts because you think it's going to ruin it, it's not going to make it perfect. So if you just straight off the head, then you're just saying what's on your mind. But I'm not saying don't be prepared. So yeah, just to close off, anybody can be a writer. We've all written, you know, essays, compositions at school. If you can write about yourself, if you can write about your best friend, if you can write about whatever essay you've written in school, you can most definitely write a book. It doesn't take, you know, an amazing concept. It doesn't take fancy gadgets to use to write. It doesn't take you know, it doesn't take an amazing team. I mean, it doesn't take a team. Like, there's people who already have their own editors, they have marketing directors, they have managers. It doesn't take a team. You can do it in the simplest way possible, and you can still produce something amazing. You're gonna grow, you're gonna develop as you go. But for a startup, let me tell you something. When I wrote my first book, we had no idea what was going on. I was just writing because I was bored. I knew I had it in me. I knew I loved writing. But then when I reached the end of the book, because I didn't even realize I was writing a book until I got to the end, I was like, you know, I think this is a book and I think I want to publish this, you know, but we had absolutely no idea what we were doing. It was just myself and my family, and they were just there. They're like, okay, you said you want to publish this, we're gonna help you work through it, we're gonna, you know, find our way. And a lot of the secrets to publishing, to writing, we had to discover them as we went. So it doesn't, for your first time, for your first try, give yourself credit for getting this far. Give yourself credit for even attempting this. It might seem like, oh, it's an easy process, it's a hard process to some people, but the fact that you've even attempted, the fact that you've even tried to do this is amazing. Give yourself your flowers and just work on it, keep, you know, growing, keep learning. As you go, you're gonna develop a better style of writing. I'm realizing also that the more that I write, the, you know, bigger vocabulary. I've got all these like tricks and everything that I feel, you know, I studied literature now. I started studying literature, and it was like I now knew about, you know, soliloquies, monologues, all those things. Because so you grow, we grow as a people. That's how life works. So when you're starting out, do not put too much pressure on yourself for it to be perfect, for it to be, oh, it has to look a certain way, it has to be like this. Don't put pressure on yourself. You're amazing. You got to the end of your book, and I just want to wish everybody, whoever may be working on a book, whoever may be working on whatever idea, whatever concept it is that you have in your head, I just want to say, get it down, get it started. You don't know where it's going to take you. You don't know what it's going to lead to. Just be proud of yourself that you're doing this. You're amazing. You're a star. And I really hope you get to the end. I really wish everybody who has projects on the way all the best of luck. I know a lot of authors, a lot of people who are working on books right now. That's probably one of the reasons that I started making this series, because a lot of people have been asking me and just like asking me questions, and I was like, you know what, I think now is the right time to get started on this series. So I wish you all the very best of luck. God is with you. You have an amazing family, an amazing support system. Believe it or not, I'm here for you. If anybody ever needs help with anything, don't be afraid to ask me. If you feel like the videos aren't clarifying enough, if you watch this video and feel like there's still something that you need me to explain, hit my DMs, you know, talk to me, and I'll definitely respond. I'll definitely try and help you in as much as I can. I'm not the wisest. I'm not the, you know, I haven't been in the industry that long. I don't know everything, but the little bit that I know, I'm willing to share it with you guys. So all the best, everybody, and I love you all, my lovelies. I think that's pretty much it. But I'm so excited also to do the second part of the series. I think that's the hardest step, publishing. That's gonna be one of my longest and just like fully explained videos. This was just an intro. So thank you so much for reaching the end of this video. You are amazing. You are a star. See you guys in the second episode of the series. Thank you guys so much for watching.